Coach Matthew Green here with Effective Fitness Training and Effective Fitness Combatives to go over a video of a resisting between two St. Louis City Metropolitan Police Department officers and a subject. It appears that the person recording or next to them is the dad of the subject, becomes pretty verbally combative. You know, the typical stuff you'll see. Nothing crazy. We're going to go over what went wrong, what could have gone better, and obviously the goal here, like always, is to provide feedback. So hopefully these situations can bring awareness to the need for training, right? I don't know the circumstances behind this detainment or what led to these circumstances, if it was like a warrant, a known subject, or simply like some type of pedestrian or vehicle stop that led to this resisting. Don't know. It doesn't really matter. All I'm looking at is assuming it's lawful, that is, the detainment and this arrest. All I'm looking at are the control tactics here, right? Particularly the lack of control tactics implemented by these two officers, guys. And we'll discuss that in great detail here, okay? So it looks like our very own police post actually posted this video. We're going to show some audio for effect here, guys, so you can get a feel for the scene.
So look, they pull up on him for nothing, for no reason. He didn't do nothing. What did he do? Okay. Okay.
Please, guys, don't hurt him. Please, listen, this is my son.
Your fucking hands behind your back, don't fucking talk.
Please, I can't believe
You guys just were. You guys just were. That's what they always say. Stop resisting.
So we can already tell from a few seconds of that first clip there, guys. There looks to be two people here that are relatively close to police officers, not so close that they are like an immediate, like this moment in time, a threat, but they could very well be a threat, right? They could easily present a weapon. They could attack the officers pretty quickly, as they are, several feet from them, not within reaching distance, but yes, close. So it is good to keep aware. Yes, the awareness there, giving some attention to the bystanders is important. Obviously, anyone that has been in a resisting understands that. However, it appears that, at times, at least here in the beginning, these officers are far more concerned with the bystanders than they are controlling the subject. Understandably so. They have cameras in their face. They're yelling. It's aggressive, right? It's a hectic scene. However, this is just the way it is now. With policing, modern policing, cameras are in our faces all the times. There is a significant portion of your arrest, your resistings, that are going to look like this, where you have a crowd of people. The crowd's only going to get bigger, and there's only going to be more videos, more cameras in your face, right? That's just the reality of policing. This is a typical scene, guys. I can speak from experience anecdotally as well as for others as well. This is not out of the normal, okay? So with that being said, this is something that we should at least either accept or at minimum be, normalized to, because it's just how the world is. With that being said, if they fail to address this subject because they just don't understand how to control him, and that's obvious just based on the body positions of these officers relative to the subject. Both their knees are on the ground, so pretty much all of the pressure that they could be utilizing is going through the ground, right? We have to apply some pressure to the subject. That doesn't mean suffocate him, right? But you have to control his body, his hips from moving before you start fighting his hands. And as you'll see, these officers just keep going to the hands over and over and over again, because the goal as police officers, we know, is to extract the arms, put them behind their back, and cuff them up. At some point, though, in order to do that, you have to prevent their movement. That requires some type of mitigation of hips and body movement, with like a low mount, a knee on top, whether that be from the front or the back. And you just don't see that. You see at this point like a very shallow knee on top from this officer on the right, but no real pressure. And you'll see as this subject keeps just squirming around, guys. So we'll keep watching here.
Listen to him. He's begging them. He's fucking begging them. Hey, you're going to break his fucking arm. You're going to break my son's arm. You're done. You are done. You are done.
So the father appears to get more aggressive once you can tell the subject's arm starts to get at a pretty vulnerable angle. at his own fault, right? His own doing here. He is obviously resisting arrest. He gets more combative. He closes the distance a little bit on the officers, which causes the officer's attention to get drawn back to the bystander. Not necessarily wrongfully so, right? He could. Who's to say that this the father won't just attack these officers? So yes, maintain awareness. That's good. But as you'll see, the lack of control, which causes this unnecessarily long detainment and apprehension, only makes this potentially more dangerous, right? The probability for the escalation of force to go up, both on the subject and this father who gets worse and worse, is only increasing with time. And that time is the result of their lack of control, guys. So as you'll see, this all comes full circle. If they had sound control tactics on how to pin this guy to the ground, maintain pressure, and extract arms, this situation would not be as dangerous, right? And even though it works out this time, does not mean it will work out next time for these guys or for any other officer, right? We see this all the time in escalation of force, where hands-on fails or tools fails, and the result to deadly force or greater uses of force is becomes more immediate because they have no other means to achieve the goal, right? And I say that it's important here, right? Just because the outcome is what we wanted, that is, this subject gets arrested, does not mean the goal was met, does not mean that we achieved it most optimally, okay? The goal isn't necessarily just to, put somebody under arrest and physical custody, right? It's to do so efficiently and as safely as possible. And that's just not being done here, guys.
John, you're gonna break. Look at his face. Look at his face. Look at his face. Look, and they won't stop choking him. Both of these guys, him and him, both of them. Yeah, and him too, and him too.
So lieutenant shows up on scene, white shirt. Father's claiming he's choking him. I couldn't tell if his face was a little blushed there. It doesn't really matter. The officers went to like a frame of sorts on the shirt, right? So they were close to his neck, which by no means constitutes a choke. That's just ridiculous. It's just stereotypical nonsense talk from bystanders just to rile up these cops and distract them. And he's doing a good job, to be honest. He is distracting them. But go back to the control tactics, right? The pushing on the shirt, he has the right idea in terms of like trying to frame. It's just a weak frame. We don't grab shirts, guys. We should be looking to frame at the head, the crown of the head, the back, the top of the head, pushing that away to break posture. The shirt pulling and pushing on that shirt is not a good grip. That's not a sound frame. You should be looking to frame the back of those armpits, the back of the head, and going from there. That's going to serve these cops much better for control than just pulling and grabbing that shirt like you see them being done.
Yep. Hey, they're choking my fucking son to death.
The bystander.
Yeah. They won't tell him what he did. They won't even tell him what he did. They won't even tell him what he did. Look.
So it looks like the cops finally started, this main cop, I guess the primary, we'll call him. It looks like he was starting to get some type of like modified low mount where he's looking to actually start to try to control those hips. That's good there. Not a real effective use of pinning the legs, but but an attempt to do so, which we didn't see earlier. So that's good. Lieutenant here is going to the cuffs while the other two cops look to control. So we got 3 guys now on them. Sometimes it takes 3 guys to control somebody. I would not consider this subject a 3-guy person. Let's just be real. He could be high on meth. He could be high on any type of upper, right? Any type of downer, any type of stimulant, whatever it may be. It doesn't really matter. That's not going to change how we control somebody, right? We're not using pain. And this is the whole pressure versus pain argument. We're not using pain as a means to apprehend this subject. We should be ideally using pressure, right? And pressure doesn't care if you're high. Pressure doesn't care if you can feel things or not. And that's a big misconception here. Whether or not this guy's high is irrelevant to the effective custody and control of the subject, guys. We have to remember that. And if we as a society and law enforcement agencies understood what it meant to control somebody, you would understand that their mental state, or whatever it may be, is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I'm going to now. I may change certain tactics I use, but in terms of how I'm controlling a subject by applying pressure or not is not changing whether they're high. It doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter.
Look, they're breaking his fucking arm. Look, they're breaking his fucking arm.
Still fighting to get a second hand behind him.
He's trying to give you his arm.
Let's talk about that. Looks like they got the cuffs out without having the hands behind the back. That to me is a big no-no. Once again, it worked out, but like the goal here, full control before cuffing. We don't, and there's 3 people here, so it might not matter as much, but you see this a lot with one officer custodies. One officer resistance, guys, is you see the cuffs come out before they have control. I need full control of that subject's body, his hips, and his arms before I seek to get those cuffs out, especially a resisting subject, right? He needs to be prone, hands fully extracted, and then I get the cuffs. I'm not fighting cuffs and hands before I have control. It's control before cuffs, always. There's a little more leeway with more cops here, but it just goes to show that like we as cops are too much in a rush to try to fight hands. Control before hands. Yes, I mean hands if they're presenting something or they're going to the waistband and they pose a threat, address hands, right? But I mean in terms of how we're cuffing them is being rushed.
Yeah, tough guys. Yeah. What? What are you going to do to me because I'm recording you? Yeah, see? That's it.
All right, that caps off the custody, and that's all I really cared about showing there, guys. It's, I don't know these guys, and it doesn't really matter. I don't know their character, don't really care. It's irrelevant. All I'm talking about are the tactics and the level of training these cops have, and it's very, very low. And this isn't unique to these cops. This is the typical, right? This is normal for police officers. We receive minimal to no training, 100 hours-ish of DT, which is subpar DT training. They don't show proper control tactics, and they don't have proper implementation of those control tactics in, proper scenarios, that being like live, realistic live drills under stress, etc. We just don't see that being done. This, I hope, brings awareness to the need for training, guys. And it's not just training, but specific training, grappling, right? At EFC, we've integrated grappling within law enforcement and considered all of the tools and other law enforcement unique scenarios that you would otherwise not see in like sport jiu-jitsu or wrestling, right? We've integrated the best of all of these worlds. And I would hope to see in the future that these cops and other cops like them who are not well trained learn the necessity for training. Hopefully they see this video and they learn from their mistakes and realize what went wrong. And really it's just the major problem here is that they went into this with no training, right? And I don't know if it's false confidence or I don't know how many resistings they've been, what their experience is like. I don't know if they maybe don't know what they don't know, but they need to seek training, guys. That's the bottom line. As always, that's it.